We are counting down the 8 most ambitious infrastructure projects redefining China's grip on the global economy. From labyrinthine underground networks and bridges that vanish beneath the sea, to river systems engineered to flow beneath each other, these monumental builds are not just about scale, they are shifting how the world moves, goods, data, and resources. Which project holds the ultimate power over supply chains worldwide? Let us begin with number 8. The press of magnetic acceleration slams riders back as China's newest Maglev prototype rockets from 0 to 600 kilometers per hour in under 2 minutes. This is not a science fiction test track, it is a real leap, unveiled by CRRC in mid-2025, and set to redefine how a nation the size of a continent moves at speed. At 600 kilometers per hour, the Maglev slices the Beijing to Shanghai journey to just 2.5 hours, outpacing even commercial jets when airport delays are counted. Guideways for this superconducting marvel cost up to 300 million yuan per kilometer, but the payoff is relentless. Factories along the Yangtze Delta can now synchronize inventory and deliveries in a single working day instead of planning for week-long cycles. Every extra hour shaved off transit compresses supply chains, tightens just-in-time manufacturing, and turns domestic travel into a strategic weapon. With full commercial rollout aimed for 2030, China's bet is clear. Speed is not just about getting there first, it is about controlling the tempo of global trade itself. 60 meters below the streets of Beijing and Chongqing, a hidden world stretches for more than 50 kilometers, sealed off from the noise and chaos above. Here, cathedral-like caverns branch into networks of reinforced tunnels, each designed to outlast disaster and disruption. These underground labyrinths aren't relics of Cold War paranoia, they are modern, dual-use fortresses, built to shelter not only people, but the nation's most precious digital assets. In Beijing alone, these subterranean systems can support up to 40% of China's national cloud computing power. Fiber optic cables, shielded against electromagnetic pulses and hardened against EMP, snake through hardened conduits, forming a telecom backbone immune to surface sabotage. Satellite thermal scans have traced the telltale heat signatures of vast server farms, their cooling vents hidden among the shadows of older civil defense structures. Procurement records from 2025 reveal billions spent on EMP-hardened upgrades, as state planners race to ensure that, in a crisis, the flow of data and logistics never stops. In these silent depths, speed gives way to survivability, and China's ability to endure is engineered in stone and steel, far from the eyes of the world. Air travel in northern China now flows through a single, star-shaped gateway. Beijing Daxing International Airport, designed by Zaha Hadid's team and completed in just 5 years, covers a staggering 700,000 square meters, enough to fit 98 soccer fields beneath its soaring roof. Its radial layout isn't just for show. This design funnels passengers and cargo through 6 arms, slashing walking times and allowing ground crews to turn planes around faster than at any hub in Asia. Each year, up to 100 million travelers pass through its halls, connecting every continent to the world's second-largest economy. But Daxing's true power lies in its cargo engine. In 2025 alone, freight throughput surged to 720,000 tons, a 15% jump driven by e-commerce giants racing to meet global demand. The airport's location, wedged between Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei, lets it pull goods from 3 megacities at once, feeding supply chains that stretch from German auto plants to African tech markets. Every shipment, every passenger, is a data point in China's relentless push to concentrate global connectivity within its borders. 55 kilometers of concrete and steel now bind 3 of the world's busiest ports into a single, unstoppable artery. The Kong-Zhuhai-Macau bridge doesn't just span the Pearl River Delta. It fuses Hong Kong's air cargo giants, Zhuhai's manufacturing zones, and Macau's logistics hubs into one continuous export machine. The crossing's most audacious feature, a 6.7-kilometer tunnel that dives beneath shipping lanes, lets container ships and jets pass overhead, keeping supply lines unbroken. Every day, this superlink channels freight worth billions, feeding a region responsible for roughly 12% of China's total exports. In 2019, a sudden leak inside the tunnel forced emergency teams to work through the night, sealing the breach before a closure could trigger a cascade of delays. Logistics models warn that even a short disruption here could add up to 2 days to export timelines, snarling deliveries from factory floors to global markets. The bridge is more than a marvel, it is a pressure point, one that turns a single span into a lever over the world's supply chains. Across 3,000 kilometers of engineered canals, pumps, and tunnels, water now flows north against gravity, crossing the heart of China. The South to North Water Transfer Project is a feat of hydraulic ambition. $80 billion spent to move up to 60 billion cubic meters per year from the Yangtze Basin to the thirsty megacities and factories of Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei. In places, the system quite literally runs one river beneath another, with tunnels diving under the mighty Yellow River to keep the lifeblood of industry uninterrupted. This is not just about urban taps. It is a matter of economic survival. Northern China's industrial belt, responsible for about 15% of the country's GDP, depends on a steady supply of fresh water to keep steel mills, power plants, and assembly lines running. That leverage comes at a human cost. More than 330,000 people were relocated to clear the path for the canals, their villages submerged or abandoned. With every cubic meter delivered, water becomes not just a resource, but a strategic input, one that can throttle or unleash entire production corridors, depending on who controls the flow. A vertical world rises from the mist of Guizhou, where canyons run deeper than skyscrapers are tall. Here, the Duje Bridge stretches across a 565-meter drop, higher than placing the Eiffel Tower on end, twice. This is not a single feat, but part of a radical transformation. Guizhou now claims over 30% of the world's 100 tallest bridges, a province once isolated by stone, now threaded by steel. Each span carves hours off journeys that once wound through treacherous mountain passes. On the G56 expressway, the DUG bridge alone shortens freight routes by 200 kilometers, turning a 4-hour crawl into a 2-hour sprint. Trucks loaded with coal and rare earths, minerals critical to global electronics, now move safely and swiftly from remote mines to factories and ports. Wind vane sensors and GPS-guided assembly keep these bridges standing against typhoons and earthquakes, but the real achievement is economic. A logistics corridor that lets China's raw materials flow without pause, feeding the world's appetite for everything from smartphones to solar panels. In Guizhou, altitude becomes advantage, and every cable and truss tightens China's grip on supply chains that reach far beyond its borders. At the edge of the Himalayas, construction crews battle thin air and shifting tectonic plates to lay the most ambitious railway China has ever attempted. The Sichuan-Tibet Railway climbs to 4,400 meters, threading through a landscape that has defeated engineers for generations. As of early 2026, 2 sections, Chengdu to Ya'an and Lhasa to Ningqi, are already in service. The final stretch, Ya'an to Ningqi, is only 40% complete, with a finish line set for 2030. This is more than a quest for connectivity. Beneath the peaks, the world's richest untapped lithium reserves wait in the rocks, essential for batteries powering electric vehicles and energy storage worldwide. Freight trains on this route will cut delivery times to Lhasa by 3 days, turning what was once a logistical nightmare into a direct artery for minerals feeding global supply chains. After the 2024 looting earthquake, designers overhauled tunnel systems, adding seismic dampers and flexible linings to withstand future shocks. Every kilometer built is a race against nature and a bet on controlling the battery metals that will drive the next industrial era. A concrete monster towers over the Yangtze, so massive that some claim it once nudged the planet's rotation, though the real impact is far more immediate. The Three Gorges Dam is the world's largest hydropower plant, forged from 27 million cubic meters of concrete and 400,000 tons of steel. Each year, its turbines generate around 100 terawatt-hours of electricity, enough to power a country the size of Argentina. This is not just national pride, it is the backbone of China's industrial engine. The factories clustered downstream, from steel mills to electronics plants, depend on this single node for nearly 10% of the national grid. When the Yangtze shrank in 2023, output plunged by 40%, and the shock rippled outward. Steel mills idled, export orders backed up, and global prices spiked overnight. Sediment piles up behind the dam, threatening to choke capacity over time, while droughts grow harsher and more frequent. Every ton of steel that leaves the port, every shipment of electronics bound for foreign markets, is tied to the relentless pulse of this dam. If the flow falters, the world feels it. Proof that one river, harnessed by concrete and steel, can hold entire economies in its grasp. Across all 8 projects, one pattern is clear. China is converting raw scale into economic leverage at a pace the world has never seen. These megastructures aren't just engineering feats, they are strategic power moves. In a supply chain world, infrastructure is destiny. The global balance is shifting right now.